Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to add 2 items to new business. These items have come up at the last minute and are timely and need our attention at this particular time. The first would be the scoping report that we received from our coastal engineer for the Hurricane Dorian Cat B project. So that would be one item. The second item would be something that was almost even more urgent. We need a discussion on restoring the dune for the county at their public access location across from the Richard Peters Park. So that would be the second item.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion to update the agenda with the addition of those 2 items?
I move that we approve the agenda with the modifications recommended by Mayor Pro Tem Benson.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys. All right, so the next item is we need a motion to go into a closed session.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, we're just gonna walk in here.
Should tell people what to do.
It won't be that long. It will only be a few minutes, guys. It's a 3-hour.
The next.
Okay, so
Mayor, I recommend that we come out of, I make motion that we come out of closed session.
do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good.
I'll make a motion that I'd like to make a motion that we reluctantly accept the resignation of David Gilbride as our town manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alderman Grant.
I would like to abstain.
And with that in mind, we want to make sure that Mr. Gilbride, and we're so glad you could join us tonight. We'd like to present you with a resolution honoring your time as our town manager. And I'm just going to read it aloud. Whereas David Gilbride has served as the North Topsail Beach Town Manager for the past 14 months with distinction. And whereas this exemplary service was distinguished by the utmost professionalism and dedication to our town. And whereas through his superb managerial and organizational skills, team building, and tireless personal efforts, the quality of the town's government and services significantly improved during his tenure. And whereas David's charismatic leadership by personal example and positive can-do attitude has had a harmonizing effect on the town staff, elected body, and the town citizens. And whereas David's creative problem-solving abilities have led to innovative solutions, which enabled the town to attain significant progress on several major beach projects, including the Federal Storm Reduction Project, the Sand Dune Replenishment Truck Haul, and the Army Corps of Engineers, or the US ACE ICW New River Inlet Navigation Project. That's a long one. Whereas his focused management style has achieved noteworthy advancement on several major town initiatives, including the restoration of Town Hall, plans for a new public safety center, and the implementation of paid parking. And whereas David Gilbride's enthusiasm and positive leadership has earned the admiration and respect of all whom he has encountered. And therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Aldermen hereby express its sincere appreciation and gratitude to David Gilbride in commemoration of his exceptional leadership, management, and service to the town of North Topsail Beach, adopted this 6th day of May, 2021. Thank you, sir.
Selfie.
Thank you, sir, so much for coming.
Thank you. If I could make a comment, since coming to work at North Topsail Beach, I've lost a little over 60 pounds. I asked the doctor if that was caused by the illness, and he told me no, that it was the stress of trying to get sand in front of St. Regis. I would just like to thank the board and the staff, who are, by the way, marvelous, all of them, for the opportunity, and thank you very much for the honor. Please speak out the back door now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Okay. We ready? We've got next on the agenda is the manager's report. And I believe the town clerk is going to try and lead us through some highlights of the manager's report. We all have the detailed report in our packet as well, so we can ask questions when we're done, if anybody has any.
So, like I said, this is going to be just the highlights. The first item is the federal project. EPA is in the works, and they continue to work on additional funding. Capital improvements in the fire station, that is an ongoing project that we're working on. Town hall is an ongoing work that we're still pursuing there, and the federal project. We have a few more weeks of sand placement, and the project will pick up next year. COVID-19, the town is encouraging vaccinations, and Anzo County. Successful meeting with commissioners, manager, and staff. Reviewed North Topsail Beach financial needs. Corps of Engineers, the project is completed. Of course, Fran is gonna give us an update on the terminal drawing. Paid parking is in place and it's being very successful. And the budget, we're still working on that. That is ongoing.
Thank you, Sherry. The only thing I'd like to add is we do have an agenda item a little bit later on to give a detailed update on the meeting with Anzo County. Yes, sir.
As I understand it, and I know it's not in the manager's report, I understand that we've been extended on the Florence project to the 21st now, correct?
I thought it was 2 weeks. Do you know, Mike, if it goes
I
to
just- The
21st?
guy down there just told me when I drove by, they were putting the cones up. He said the 21st. I don't know.
I
if
believe
that's
it's
true
the
or not, but I know we
21st.
got 2 weeks.
Perfect. Well, I guess it is.
Sandbook it with you.
No, he just, I stopped and
Okay.
put the cones out. Just said, how many trucks they had today. He said, "That's true."
Scott said that. It has to be true if Scott agrees. There we go.
You know.
Okay, any other questions on the manager's report or anything that the aldermen want to add? Okay, then we're going to move on to open forum. Do we have anybody, Sherry, that signed up for open forum?
No.
Is there anybody that would like to speak in open forum? Now, you all are helping me with this agenda today. And actually, we went out of order a little bit here, so I don't know if we need to. I presented the resolution early, Brian, because I know Mr. Gilbride had come just specifically for that. So I don't know if we need to make a motion or do anything to correct the agenda. No, okay. And then if Fran is on the line, we could do our coastal engineer update. I'd be surprised too who's speaking now. There he is.
Yes, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Give me a minute, Fran.
It's gonna take a minute, Fran, to
Okay,
get the volume up on the projection screen.
Okay, can you say something so I can see if we hear
yes, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Hello?
you? Yeah, can you guys hear him well enough?
I can hear him barely.
You out there?
No, that's the problem. So,
There's sound here, so just hearing our voice.
There we go. Try it again.
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
All right.
Deb, can you bring up that PowerPoint really quick, or the PDF, please?
All right. Oh, wait. Sorry. All right, Fran, you should see it.
Okay, but this is our update, our monthly update for May 2021. Next slide, please. For the truck haul, as was mentioned earlier, we do have a 3-week extension into May. And here you can see that all the work is north of the pier, and they've stopped working up near the St. Regis area. And they're working down near the pier, and we're working, up towards the existing beach access. We've been working with Mike, as Mike has stepped in on the kind of for the town manager. And we were working with Mike and like we didn't quite start down at the pier based on kind of conversations with the aldermen and the mayor. We started right where kind of the most, where we needed sand the most, before this kind of upcoming hurricane season. So we're doing kind of the May extension work. We've got the turtle crews going out, and they pretty much go out anyway, even if we're not there. But they're working with us. They're doing a great job, and they are kind of clearing the beach of making sure there are no turtle nesting episodes or turtles on the beach prior to our work. And so that's where we are. We're just north of the pier, and then we're working our way towards the existing beach access where the trucks are accessing the beach. The next slide, please, Deb. This is kind of just an update on where we are on the beach, from the northeast to the southwest. The truck haul is completing. There's about 110,000 cubic yards of material has been placed already, and we're still going to place some more. And then there will be some material that we will not place until this upcoming November for the reach phase 2, 3, and 4, the phases 2 through 4 shoreline. Most of this, the work is in the phase 2 shoreline right now, and we will continue to do that. In talking with Hurricane Dorian, we've basically been kind of concentrating on Hurricane Florence here for the last year or so, and we still have to do Hurricane Florence category G down in phase 5. But with the Dorian category G and category B, which is the dune, category G is engineering beach, and category B is the dune. We're proposing to kind of wrap in the Dorian work with that Florence work that's upcoming. So that would include about 16,000 cubic yards of material placed in the phase 1 shoreline. And talking with with Susan and some of the other aldermen, like that area does need some sand, and so we can do that. We can put that 16,000 cubic yards of material in there to really kind of help out that area, since the core nourishment really didn't put as much material as we'd hoped. And then obviously for Florence, it's going to be a very large nourishment down in phase 5, where it's about 607,000 cubic yards. Our Dorian losses for that section of shoreline were only about 30,000 cubic yards, but we can wrap those up and kind of get them all in one project. For phases 2 through 4, we only calculated about 7,000 cubic yards of loss for Dorian. And we're also we also are going to wrap that mitigation into kind of the Florence truck haul that we're doing right now. So basically the proposal that I got to the town manager and the one that Mike mentioned earlier was basically doing the Dorian work, which it will be additional, but also trying to wrap it in and to the Florence work that is still remaining, and to try to save costs by kind of combining these projects. Next slide, please, Deb. Here's just an image of the conceptual terminal groin and fill project. You can see the black line and the gray line is the terminal groin, and with the yellow, that's kind of where the sand will, and that's kind of that little fillet of sand, that little triangle of sand right near the groin. This is kind of just an overall conceptual view, and we showed this at the last meeting. The comment period is closed. We had the meeting last March, and then they had the comment period. The comments were, we got a lot of comments, and there were a lot of good comments, a lot of positive comments. It was great. I'm glad the aldermen and the board, they kind of made sure that, and we want some of those positive comments, because a lot of times is all you hear is the negative. The comments were good. They're kind of what we expected. Or met with Dial Cordy, and they're already kind of answering a lot of those comments that were submitted, the ones that needed answering. And now we're kind of moving forward with the process, which is very, it's a good thing that the process is moving forward. So we're on the kind of the draft environmental impact statement, the DEIS. We're kind of getting more into that development, and hopefully that can come out here soon. I can get an update from Dial Cordy and from Mickey. Unless the town may also have some additional information. Next slide, Deb. So the truck haul the truck haul extension, just to summarize, the truck haul extension will go into the 3 weeks in May. As Sherry had mentioned, the core New River Inlet AIWW dredging has been completed. The Hurricane Florence Category G, that permit application is still kind of under development. We're waiting for the state to implement new rules, and they have to do that through the CRC process. It was supposed to happen in April, but now I'm told it's going to happen in the end of May. We are, after talking with the aldermen and the board, we want to include the Dorian projects into the Florence project that was planned for this upcoming November, so we can get some sand in the phase 1 shoreline, and as well as a little bit of extra sand in the phase 5 shoreline. The New River Inlet management plan, which is usually just typically known as the terminal groin project. The comment period is closed, and the Corps has met and was working on the draft environmental impact statement. And then there is that one, the updates to the sediment criteria, the CRC and the state on shells and rocks, and we still have to do that. And we did, the town did get a grant for that. We can do that sometime in the summer. We basically just have to do it prior to the next nourishment project, which will be in November. So we still have a little bit of time and a little bit of flexibility in when we do the sediment shell and rock analysis on the beach. And those are my updates and my summary.
So Fran, I do have one question or clarification. I just want to make sure it's clear to everybody. I know that the initial comment period, terminal groin, has ended, as you had mentioned, but I want to make sure that folks know that through this whole process, there are additional comment periods that will be open to them. So if they didn't have a chance to submit comments at this point in time, they will have additional opportunities to do so.
Yes, correct. And then essentially they have official periods where they take public comments, but even unofficially, if you submit something to the Army Corps of Engineers and to the state, they usually will kind of take it and hold on to it and submit it into the record, even if you're not in those official comment periods.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for Fran? Yes, Alderman Grant.
Just two. One is, I don't know how we do this. We got to quit referring to it as a terminal groin, because there's been no, as I understand it from the hearing that the Corps had, there's no decision on that. There's no decision on anything else. I know that's what we refer to it, but I think for clarification.
No, you're right. I mean, they're supposed to come back as part of this. They're supposed to come back with all options. Right. One being do nothing, one being the other end of the spectrum, being a terminal groin.
And then the other one, Fran, if I can, when I'm looking at the Dorian and Florence FEMA G updates, okay, one of the things I don't think I'm confused. We're looking at, when we get down to 5, which is where the core project's going to be as well, right? Okay.
Yes.
We're looking at over 4 times as much sand as in all of the other phases. 2 questions. Is that correct? Because I think that right now it looks like we haven't put any sand down in 5, but we are going to as part of this project, and that is going to happen hopefully this calendar year, or starting this calendar year. And then the second thing is that because that's an engineered beach and the other ones aren't, or is it just loss of sand or a combination?
It's a combination. It is, engineered beach does help out, but the phase 1 shoreline, that the shoal system we have to do our calculations losses out to the quote unquote depth of closure. And that's about 20 feet deep, 20 feet out. So it's, about a quarter mile off the shore. For phase 5, you get to that depth pretty easily and sand gets lost beyond there. With in the phase 1 shoreline, it gets a lot more complicated because of that shoal system, and getting beyond that depth is a lot more difficult. And then Dorian losses were just a lot less than Florence. Florence obviously was, Florence was a monster storm, and but even knowing that Florence was such a big storm and impacted the phase 1 engineered beach really just didn't show as much loss as the phase 5. And a lot of times that is, there's not a whole lot of sand to lose. And so you don't lose as much. It gets complicated, but yes, the phase 5 did, I mean, that's a good observation.
To put it in lay terms, 5 is going to get a lot of sand this year.
Yes.
So Fran, yeah, I'd like to come back to the Dorian scope of work. To
Sure.
apologize to the board because they didn't get your scope of work proposal until late last night. And so I don't know how much they've had opportunity to look it over, but if they have any questions, we could ask them now, because later in our agenda, we will actually be talking about that scope of work proposal that you have sent to town. And if any of the aldermen have additional questions about the Dorian, incorporating Dorian recovery into the category G Florence recovery starting this fall, then we try to ask them while we have Fran available.
I'm looking around. Do we have any questions right now for Fran as it relates to the proposal?
I just had one question, Fran, regarding the sand down in phase 5. We're gonna get a lot of sand down there from the replenishment this coming dredging season, right?
Correct.
Is the beach down there going to be rebuilt to the template of the original phase 5 project from 2014? Or will it be rebuilt to the condition it was in just prior to the storm?
The condition just prior to the storm. That as you might, back in 2015, they put about 1.3 million cubic yards of material, and this is almost half of that. So, and that was the material that we could attribute to the Florence storm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fran, so much. I appreciate your time.
But Mike will be able to comment on your feeling about the proposal when we get to that.
Yep. And
Okay,
then
so the next-
I'd just like to, that Bob Glassen with FEMA, he kind of did review it, and FEMA did accept, I did have it. They kind of ran through this, and then we can work, and then Caitlin is working with all the FEMA processing on that sort of for the Dorian and the Florence, and I've been working with Caitlin, yep, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Fran. Appreciate your time. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'd like to open it up for discussion. The one item I would like to ask the board to consider, since I personally haven't had a chance to dig into it with the other issues that we had going on this week with staff, is just, I'd like to see if we could table the reappointments for the planning board and for the Board of Adjustments until June.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
It's fine.
And also just one other clarification, I would ask Caitlin to make about the presentation of the budget, that in terms of, while it may, because the way we have to account for things,
Mhm.
we actually are ahead in collecting revenues for the year, even though this looks like we're behind, because we're tracking the
Okay.
annual expense against nine months of revenue.
Okay.
So if she could clarify that.
I will.
Okay.
All right, so do we need a motion and another second
Mhm.
to make these changes? Okay, so can someone make I don't think can
I
you
so
make a
moved.
motion? Can I make a motion? No,
No.
that's my question. Right, so somebody else
I
needs to
just
make a
made the
motion.
motion. for
You did it.
And
Thank
I
you, sir. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then we're gonna move on to old business. The first item on here is the municipal service district with our attorney, Mr. Eads. I believe this item is on here just as a general update about the upcoming public hearing.
Right.
Um,
Pursuant to the statute, one of the statutes governing the municipal service districts, we are required to have a public hearing that has been noticed for the 15th of May, I believe.
mhm.
I don't want to misstate it.
9.
9. And is that going to be here? Kate?
Here.
So that's the next step in the process.
And do we have any questions for the attorney? Yes,
Just real
sir.
quick one. Brian, just real quick. I believe that we mailed notice out to people in the MSD areas,
Yes,
correct? So, but mailing constitutes notice, not receipt, correct?
yes.
Okay.
I mean,
I wanna make sure.
provided you use the address, I believe it, whatever's tax office.
Mhm.
And that's in addition to the normal notice that's published.
I just know there's been issues with my mail, so.
Okay.
Mine too. Okay, then we're gonna move on to new business if there's no additional questions. All right, so we're gonna start with an update from the budget meeting with Anzo County, and I'd like to give a quick update first, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Alderman Grant. We started the meeting by talking with Anzo County about beach access 4 and the challenges that they've had and we've had as far as getting those dunes rebuilt and which FEMA project is it in? Is it in theirs? Is it in ours? Caitlin has spent a tremendous amount of time with FEMA and with Anzo County. Turns out it's not currently in either project. So what we've been doing right now is working as a board to try and figure that out. And I believe Alderman Benson will go into that in a little bit later, and also Onslow County. So we've been jointly trying to work together to figure out how to get sand in that area. And that we spent quite a bit of time on that in the meeting. And so then Alderman Grant, I'll let you go through some of the other updates.
Right, and just generally, I think that it was, and what I'd like to do maybe is, we can post the white paper that we handed out. And hand out to Jay. But the purpose of the meeting was to meet with certain members of the county commission and present to them kind of the financial condition of the town and the project that we're looking at. And not to be facetious, but basically told them dollars, pesos, pounds, whatever you guys can give us, anything we can get for them towards the project is something we would appreciate. I think that it was a good meeting in terms of, I think there was a lot of, I'm not gonna say miscommunication, but misunderstandings between us and them about things that they could do, things that we could do. We've agreed to meet with them in a couple of months.
Quarterly.
We're also going to be, I think with Caitlin, we're going to be filing some requests with them for additional funding. There's no guarantee, but I think there was a very productive meeting in terms of the first step towards getting money from them, recognizing that, like everybody else, I guess we're asking for money like a lot of other places are asking for it as well. But I think they came away with an appreciation for that. I thought that the county manager was very positive in terms of beach renourishment, being something that they could help us with. I think, the level of this thing is, and frankly, what we're trying to do right now, without getting into any specifics, is trying to find a way with respect to the Corps of Engineers project to get money into the town before that project starts, because that will lessen the impact on everybody and the cost to the residents and homeowners in the town. So, it's an hour and 15-minute meeting. I think that the things that you did and Caitlin did, maybe she'll report on it as well. But I think it's a good first step. There's no guarantee, but I believe they are going to, at the budget meeting, make a request to give us additional funding.
Increase. So right now, I believe what they've got a placeholder in there for 152 or 157,000 for North Topsail Beach. And as a result of our meeting, I understand the Board of Commissioners will discuss that and see if there's a way that they can increase that for North Topsail Beach.
And look, we asked for as much as we could get. We would like to have had all of the accommodation taxes that are collected here. I think that's going to be a hard thing for them to do. But if we can create something between the two towns where they start contributing fairly significantly to our beaches, that would be a good step forward. And I think just getting rid of some of the misconceptions between us and them help. We'll see. I mean, until the money arrives, you don't know. But I personally thought it was very positive.
I agree.
So question. It was my understanding that there was $17 million, I think was the number, FEMA grant that was provided to the county to take care of the dune line in front of their beach access. And the reason that we couldn't do anything or be reimbursed for it was because FEMA had already sent money or had done whatever was the process is to provide money to the county.
We did talk about that a little bit, and that's one of the things that Caitlin dug into, and I believe that it was discovered that they did not receive any funds for the sand on the dune.
That's correct. It was a separate project entirely for the dune portion, and it was denied for the county side because it was a small scope of work.
Okay. So that wasn't correct then.
That was not correct, but I believe that we've resolved those communication issues because our FEMA person is now talking directly with their FEMA person.
We just gotta get it fixed. We gotta get, as we all know at this table and everybody in town knows, we need to get that dune line restored in front of access so that it doesn't keep overwashing. We have a king tide
I agree.
across the street and into the park that we rebuilt.
And we do have that on here, as
Okay.
I know you guys have been working on that, so we'll talk through that as well.
No, but to Tom's point, though, you know, that was a key part of the discussion. That's actually how we let off the meeting, because we had thought that they had gotten money for it. They thought we had money for it. Their FEMA person was telling them one thing. Our FEMA person was telling us something else. And so you've established a relationship with the two of you now so that we can't get two answers to the same questions, right?
So if nothing else, that was a very productive part of the meeting. Okay, so the next item is also Alderman grant, and that is engineering services.
Yeah, and this is just kind of to get us thinking about this. It has nothing to do with current services. And I know I talked to Mike about that. When we were at this conference last week, the thing that really struck me was how much money is out there in grants and everything else. Now, my personal opinion is you don't chase $5,000 grants because, first off, you know, I don't know what the statistics are in getting them, but you're going to spend time and money doing them. But there's a lot of money out there, and it seems like it's maybe how you ask for it and knowing what's out there. And so I'd like, not a decision today, for us to give some thought over the next couple of months about whether we need to bring in somebody like that, an engineer, or somebody that can do two things. One is help look after projects like we're going to have the sand hole again. I wouldn't mind having a town person out there looking after what's going on, making sure the trucks are out there. Second thing is, and I don't know this to be fact, I would guess that the right person there can pay for themselves by getting grants and other things for the town. And so it's just something I'd like to throw out for consideration, because I think that some of the miscommunications, and I know that Susan had talked about that, went on with the dredging project up there, who's looking out for us. You know, yes, it was a core project, but you know, somebody's got to bird dog that stuff. Somebody's got to stay on top of it. And it just seems like with big projects going on, and assuming that we go forward with the Corps of Engineer project, I think that we need to give some real thought to having somebody maybe inside to do that. I understand we've looked at consultants and stuff in the past. That's fine. But the size of the projects that we're looking at, the things we're doing, I would just ask to give some thought to whether we got to bring in somebody like that.
So I believe what we probably need to do is, as a follow-on to that, is take a look at the job description that we had
Okay.
worked on as a board for a beach. I forget exactly what we called the position, but it's a beach.
It's a shoreline protection
That's it.
officer.
That's
Right.
Yep. So I think we probably need to take a look at that as a board and maybe discuss that and see if we need to rework the job description slightly, because I don't remember off the top of my head if it had grants in it, but I do think that that would be, certainly if they could pay for themselves, that's the best.
Like I said, Tom said, I'd like him to weigh in, but it was like the money that was being thrown around,
Yeah.
it was pretty big.
You know, we went to Beach Inlet Waterway Association annual spring conference, and there was a lot of presenters talking about funds available for grants and various items. And the problem is that you go to conference like this, and you hear about all this stuff, but you hear about it after somebody's got it and how they're spending it. It's like, well, you know, how come we didn't know about that? And I almost see that we need somebody who's really versatile, because we need a person to manage the projects as you've stated, but we also need someone who's well-versed in the financial aspect of chasing these things down and, you know, shaking the leaves off the trees and, you know, hopefully money falls out. But it's not even sure if that one person exists that has all of those qualities. But definitely we need to find somebody who can help us help ourselves with money. And one of the things we run into here is in Anzo County, we are the only public beach area in Anzo County. You know, the only other beach is Camp Lejeune. You know, you go up to Carteret County, for example, they have an entire office of beach management, coastline management portion of their county government. And you do the same thing. You go to Nags Head and Outer Banks, Dare County has the same thing. And, you know, what we're trying to do is replicate that on a much smaller scale. And it's hard for us to do that with the staff the size we have it. We need some help. We need some, hate to use the word, but we need professional help in that regard.
Probably in a few
regards.
regards.
You know, we got a great staff. Everybody's doing a super job, and they're doing a super job. And you know, considering everything that just happened, Mr. Gilbride, we're short in that skill set. I think is the right way to say it.
And bandwidth, I think, too.
Well, so 2-3 years ago, when we talked about the shoreline protection officer, we did use the Bogue Banks model, Carteret County Shore Protection Office as a model, because like you say, they have it from top to bottom. And the state is using the beach management plan that each community will have to come up with on the coast, modeled after what Bogue Banks presented. So they're kind of the model for the state when it comes to beach management. We were going to try to replicate that for our town when we get to the point where we can hire a shoreline protection officer. So very good idea.
And again, you know, one of the issues that we face, one of the difficulties is, you think about Carteret County and Bogue Banks, you think of all the various municipalities there. Okay, there are 5 or 6 that I can think of that are coastal communities. You know, Emerald Isle, Indian Beach, Slaughter Path, Atlantic Beach, and you know, they all feed into this thing at the county, and I'm sure that they help pay for it. And they've got a county guy there, but Greg Rudolph, but he's not the only one. He comes and he presents at these things, but he's not the whole department. He's a department head, and he's just the head guy for several other people that are working all these initiatives. And we're trying to replicate that at a much more micro scale, and it's going to be difficult. We're going to need some help. It's on there.
Okay, then we'll just keep moving here. We're doing pretty well on time, I think. Revetment update. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, our engineer for the revetment restoration, Arundel Engineers, contacted Manager Gilbride, wanting to know if we were still interested in moving forward with the sandbag revetment restoration work that we have been planning for over 2 years now. And at the time, the Army Corps was doing the ICW crossing dredging. So Manager Gilbride and I did talk about this, and we said, well, let's wait until the ICW dredge project is done and we see how much sand is on the beach. And we would invite Mr. Foreman to come over and look at the situation now. We'd probably wait until over the summer to see how much that sand is still there by this fall. Because as you saw in that PowerPoint presentation I distributed to you last night, there's already an escarpment forming at Building 1 of Topsail Reef, which is not good. Escarpments are not good. That means you're losing sand rapidly. So there's that issue. So Attorney Eads suggested that we send out his proposal to, there is a committee of 4 people from the town and 4 plaintiffs on this revetment restoration committee, that we send the proposal to them. And again, I apologize because I'm not sure if Manager Gilbride did send that to the committee or not. I will have to look into that. But what I propose moving forward is that we be sure that the committee has his proposal, and then that we agree what our next step would be, if it's to bring Mr. Foreman back, have him look at it. The design that he came up with, given the current situation there, would do more damage than it would good, to be honest, right now. So I think we're gonna have a kind of a new design for that area. So it's more of a wait and see, I believe, and see what we have left at the end of the summer from the Army Corps. So that would be the procedure that I would recommend moving forward.
Well, point of clarification, Mayor Pro Tem. When you say we, you refer to the committee, correct?
The committee, yeah. Certainly.
Any questions for Mayor Pro Tem Benson? Okay. All right, so then we're going to move on to our planning director, Ms. Hill. We've got 2 purchases for town-owned property. And I will be recusing myself definitely from number 2. So I will let Ms. Hill lead us through. That's for closed session.
It's part of the.
It is
part
in
of
the, it's in
monthly
the packet.
agenda, Page 62.
Got it? So the only,
On October the 28th, Mr. Timothy Eastman had emailed the town clerk with an offer to purchase 212 Topsail Road, Section 2, Block 7, of Old Settlers Beach, tax map 810-11 for $10,000. The property is owned R10 and has a current tax value of $5,000. And included in your packages are his offer purchase, the deed-book, map book, the tax property record card, as well as North Carolina general statutes with regards to selling property. And you have basically 3 options. I had 2 lined out, whether you reject it or you accept it. You can also counter it.
and I think Deb, just to help the board, because I'm familiar with these parcels that we're talking about, but the audience may not be and the board may not be either. I don't believe in either case, both of these are non-conforming parcels that we've been given offers on, meaning that you cannot currently build a residence on them.
That's correct.
Yeah, it also looks like the 2 structures that are there to the south are non-conforming as well.
Yeah, that's correct. That's also correct.
So, one round of questions.
Yes, let's start with Alderman Grant. I'm sorry, I was
Because
bringing it
I've
up.
not been through this process before, so we say they're non-conforming. This is where the beach project's gonna be. Will it be conforming after we get done with the core project? I don't know.
Well, and I can,
I would say no, because you wouldn't have that static
Still don't
line.
have enough back.
You have the static line, you don't have your stable natural vegetation, you can see in the aerial where that is. So it goes by the most strict. So if your static line is more landward,
Restricted.
then that's what you go by for camera photo.
and also just so that it's clear too, just because they receive sand and maybe some sprigs, as you like to call them, or dune grass, until it's naturally established vegetation, it doesn't.
So it's way, best case is way down the road.
Yeah.
And then how do you, I don't think you said you could counter. You know, how do you feel about, I mean, you know more about what values and stuff are. You said tax is 5, he's off, you know, when somebody offers 10. So 2 questions. One is, how do we assess what the value that is? have we auctioned these in the past?
Yes.
Is there an upset period? I just don't know, so I
Right.
haven't been through it before.
Right, so as most everyone knows, the market is incredibly hot. And it's certainly the case that tax value that is not necessarily representative of the current market value. So the town could have the appraisal done. One option. You may ask your friendly neighborhood realtor if they would like to, if they can do a market analysis for you. Right, that might be another option.
I mean, is this, when you look at this, and I don't know, if I was the house across the street, is that who wants to buy it? Is the house across the
That
street?
is the only person that it has any value to.
That was my last question. So
Mhm.
the value
And-
to that person, is because nothing's gonna be between them and the beach.
Well. in his
They can put
email,
their own beach crossover on and,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
And in the past, we have auctioned these off. We auctioned off several of them. There's also been some private sales. We are not Surf City. Down in Surf City, you can do these mega deck things. You can't do any of that here, which is what, one of the reasons we like to be in North Topsail Beach. So really, the only thing that the homeowner would be possibly able to do here with proper permitting would be to put a beach crossover for them. But I don't typically see any questions about vacant land like this unless you are the property owner behind it.
Okay, and how many of these do we have?
I don't think we have,
Off the top of my head, I don't know. As
But not
Mayor
many.
said several years ago.
we auctioned
we
most
auctioned
off.
off quite a few.
I just haven't been through it before, I just like to.
And what, and so for procedures, in the event that the board did decide to accept the offer, then the town clerk has to post the legal notice in the paper. And it stays open for an upset bid, so if somebody else is interested, they can come in and I think it's, so the numbers are in the general statute, but, bid higher based on whatever the general statute is.
So it's a fair market check.
And, yeah, and then when the town clerk receives that second offer, then it goes through until
Got it.
after 10 days, somebody else is done.
So that's a check for us on fair market,
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
especially in this market.
Yeah, coming back to the mayor's point, if I remember correctly, Mr. Eastman was interested in purchasing this lot because a relative of the family who was going to be living with them was handicapped and he wanted to be able to build a handicap accessible stairwell.
Well, and
His email is in the packet.
Is that what it says?
Yeah,
Yes.
his email is in here.
Okay,
And it's exactly what it says.
Perfect.
It's directly across the street from their house. Their mother's in her 80s and would like to be able to get across to the beach.
That's a good reason.
And, you know, and he understands that it's not conforming and it can't be built on.
so I think we're probably at a point where we can, if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make the motion
Yes, sir.
that accept the offer of $10,000 from Timothy Eastman for parcel 212 Topsail Road, Lot 3, Section 2B7, Old Settlers Beach, Tax Map 810-11-2. Require the offer to deposit 5% of his bid with the town clerk and direct the town clerk to publish the notice of offer pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, Section 160A-269.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. One down.
I read pretty good, don't
Mhm. So the next one Ms. Hill's going to take you through is, we've talked about this one over the past, and then I'll turn it over to Deb. This is Kathy Parker has a lot on New River Inlet Road that the town owns a lot behind. That is again in the same situation where the town-owned lot is non-conforming. And I just wanted to give that background, Deb, so I'll turn it over to you to take it through.
Yeah, and this may sound familiar to some of you. We have tried to somehow combine those two lots or offer those two lots for sale. And, for whatever reason, we just couldn't get it worked out. But on April 20th, Craig Reef emailed the town clerk and offered to purchase Lot 2 and Lot 2A. C Ranch is tax map 779C-8 for $3,000. The property is zoned R10 and has a current tax value of $5,200. Including in your packages, the offer, the deed book, map book, the property record card, as well as a copy of the general statutes. And again, your options are, certainly you can do nothing, that's an option. You could offer, you could accept his offer, you could counter his offer, or you could reject his offer.
Would anybody like to make a motion on this one?
I'm just trying to understand the map.
Which
So
one?
part of it's in the water?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
The old
Yeah,
road
okay,
before the
looks
new
like
road
it's in the
used to be, you can see that it says on the map, the old road. That was the
Oh,
right of
yeah,
way.
yeah. Okay, gotcha. That's even harder to build on than, like,
Well, I think, yeah, but my issue isn't whether or not it's buildable, my issue is the price.
Mhm.
Okay,
And you've got some options from Ms. Hill.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, depending upon who, because we would call this a flag lot now, I believe, because it's just got narrow access to the new River Inlet Road location. And if the person who owned the land to the south of the flag access corridor owned that lot, then they would have probably a big enough lot to build quite a nice oceanfront home there.
I'll be quiet.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so,
So the question is
well,
that house that we see there, is that lot that house is on go all the way over to the
Here's the
flag
GIS.
lot or flag
No,
lot?
Mike, here's the GIS. So this is the lot in the GIS. I don't know if Deb can bring that up for you. This is the lot we're discussing right here. Okay,
Mhm.
this is the lot.
Yeah.
I don't think this lot does not make the building pocket, in my opinion, on this lot any larger. Because if you look at it where the vegetation is,
Yeah.
it's sand. So in total, the parcel would be larger, and Ms. Hill may disagree, but I don't believe the vegetation is really coming far down into the town's lot.
Right, and without a current survey with the lines on it, I would have no way of
I don't either.
being able to convey what building envelopes they may or may not have. But I will say with the increased lot size, they would also, other than the dimensions, typically the increased lot size allows you to increase your impervious surface.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So
But you still have to meet the setbacks.
you still have to meet the setbacks,
So-
and particularly with CAMA in this case. So like I say, I have not seen a recent plot plan
I haven't
where
either.
So, but knowing where the static line is would help us determine that whether or not a
it would
house
still
could be
help
built
have-
on a combined, if we did later on agree to combine those two lots.
One of the things that I will say is, if we could have, and this is just a statement, if we could have combined those lots years ago, 10, 15 years ago, not quite 15, but it was when Rodney Knowles was mayor. So almost 15 years ago, if we could have combined those and someone would have built a house on it, the town would have been collecting property tax for the past 15 years on that property, instead of having two relatively tough pieces of property. So
right, just a quick question. If you were to sell this for $3,000, that doesn't mean that the tax value that we would assess for them is $3,000, correct?
we don't assess tax value, and probably what he would wind up doing is combining it into one lot. So if he built on it, it would be like any other, it would be evaluated for tax purposes for that property and for whatever improvements he made on that property. Of which we wouldn't have the control.
Any other questions for Ms. Hill?
so looking at the picture, you got the two rectangular red figures. You got one that's rectangular that has like a pipe stem on the end up to the road.
Mhm.
Okay, so what we're effectively trying to do here, or potentially doing, is combining those two red squares into one lot.
Not those two road squares. Those two road squares exist as they are by deed. They were separated by the old road once upon a
Right.
time, and that's why the legal description is, I think, 2 and 2A. But I believe that he's trying to purchase the lot that is between the red
Mhm.
flag lot and the roadway.
Mhm.
To where that he can, if he buys Kathy's piece and he buys our
Okay.
piece,
Yeah,
then he
it's this
can
one,
have a
Tom, right
survey and put them together.
Okay, I got it now. All right.
And then hopefully one day build a house.
So that would be a different option from what I was describing earlier, where along that pipe stem, you were talking about Alderman, owning that lot and combining it with our lot would possibly make a buildable lot right now rather than in the future.
Are-
Possibly, but until I have a plat, I can't confirm that.
I think you're, Mike, did you just state that combining these two parcels together, this is the town that we're talking about, and then that's Kathy Parker's right there?
Yeah.
Could you do me one
Right,
favor
but-
here?
No, that's okay.
Can you put
um,
that map up on
Yeah,
that
can you put the
screen and
GIS? I
walk
think
us
that would
through
help. That would help.
I'm sorry.
No,
Because I
you're
think
fine.
we're all getting a little confused on.
Who's
on-
talking
on-
about what?
On who's
Yeah.
talking about what here.
Yeah.
If we get that up there, and get it.
I'm
get it
gonna bring up,
enlarged, and you can walk us through.
I'm also gonna bring up the DEQ map, Deb, just so I can see if it has,
So which one?
if you do the GIS, I'll bring up the NCDEQ because I'd like to see, it's got, it'll show the vegetation. And it'll give us an idea if there's vegetation on the town-owned lot. If I can find it.
This perhaps is the first line of stable natural vegetation. That is through that lot, but most of it is. Oceanwood. This is the Kathy Parker lot. So her stem, right? So this stem and this stem would be united here. Think of it as a yin and yang, putting them together. Yes.
Green line. Is a red line.
Yeah, she owns it. I think she owns that one also. That one.
And-
I think she may own this one as well. But the one that he's asking us to sell is this one, to be able to put those pieces together.
And I believe the setback there is 90 feet, not 60. So from either the first line of stable vegetation or the static line, whichever is more restrictive, you got to have 90 foot back from there.
Right.
If the road's raised 3 foot a year, you're right.
I would not think that it would be buildable at this time, but like I say, I can't make. I
Well, we
make
can't
that
see the
determination.
future. We don't have crystal balls either.
One more time. Right. The offer. The lot of the offer. That one.
We've been
And that one was- That was part of it, but they got the roads, there was some rain on roads.
So two red
Right
lines.
now,
Yes,
so it's this, he owns this, so if he wants to combine it,
he's trying to buy this from her, he's trying to buy this from us.
he's trying to buy that from us.
Right.
Combine it.
And we own that.
Right.
One out there.
That one was part of it, and it was put off by the old River Road. Okay.
All right, I got it.
Very much like it.
What's that?
Okay, so any additional questions for Ms. Hill, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'm concerned about the price. Okay.
That's the question, right? You know,
And frankly, I don't think it's high enough.
Do you want to counter?
Looking down there for my attorney.
Oh,
No, I'm just thinking,
You can just
we
reject
just,
it.
we just accepted an offer for a lot
Mhm,
that was
mhm.
$10,000. It was similar and had a similar current tax value. You know,
that's a good point.
you know, and I kind of look at them as being very similar in terms of where they are and what they should sell for.
If
But I'm
that-
not a realtor and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I really don't want to get in the middle of this and
No, well,
put my foot in my mouth.
your point's well taken. If it's the consensus of the board to direct staff to convey that message to the offer,
Okay,
they can up their offer if they like or walk away.
okay.
We don't even need a motion.
If there's a consensus, does anyone object to staff conveying to the offer? There's a concern about the price and pointing out we just sold. Okay, that's fair. Deb, do you need more instruction?
No, sir, I'll take that as rejecting their initial offer and explain that to the Mr.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, all right, then we are going to move on to the attorney's report.
No, we have two.
Oh,
more.
no, I'm sorry. Look, I even
Amended.
wrote it down.
Amendment.
I did. I'm
Agenda.
sorry. Item E would now be the scoping report.
Okay, as said earlier, I apologize to the board for getting this report to you late last night, so I don't know if you've had a lot of time to look it over. But basically, it's a proposal for ATM and our coastal engineer Fran Way to do the work that needs to be done to combine Hurricane Dorian Cat G losses with Hurricane Florence Cat G losses at phase 1 for Hurricane Dorian. And at phase 5, it will be a combined project. So I missaid that. At phase 1 by the reef, it will just be a Dorian project. And in phase 5, it will be a combination of the Dorian project combined with the Hurricane Florence Cat G work in phase 5. So the proposal lists expenses that would be associated with combining those two recovery projects from an engineering standpoint. If you add up those totals on that report in table 1, what I got was this is not the right one that I have here, but the total was $104,000 for engineering services. We're looking at
Not
I
on mine.
apologize. The document that was handed out to the board here is not the one I sent out last night. So if you don't have your laptop with you or your phone, you need to look at the one that was dated, I think it was dated April 21, 2/21, not 2/20. Because this is What we have here on the table was actually done last fall when he did the scoping requirements. What we're talking about tonight, so that Fran can proceed with getting the permits,
Same one.
is to accept his, the
Yeah,
res,
it's the same one. It's
Yeah.
the same one.
Mike, the one that's on the, what's on your email last night
Yeah.
is the same one that you
Same one.
passed out.
Yeah,
It's
that's right. I have it up.
28K. April 21st, 2020.
So we'd like the 28.5 price.
Yeah, we'll
All in
take
favor?
that.
Take that.
Make a
So
motion.
is there, Mayor Pro Tem, could you possibly, if there's a more recent document, can you get it out to the board for review?
He needs it like now, right?
Well,
I
I
got it
mean-
right here. on my laptop. I apologize for saying the wrong form. It's got the same date, but different year. I mean, same day, month and day, but same year. That's my bad. I'm sorry and apologize.
Can you just forward it to us?
Deb, if you want to have a memory stick and want to put it on that computer, we can transfer this file, or we can wait. And the reason, let me just back up
You may put it, is it something that you'd like for me to put on the screen?
if you
Let
can.
me ask a
How
question
many-
here.
Yes, sir.
The issue is he needs to get started on the permitting in May. If we put this off until June, then we're going to be delayed on the permitting to combine the two projects because the Dorian project is not permitted
Okay.
yet. And the Florence project, the category G part of Florence has to be permitted as well. So he needs to get started on those now. That's why I brought this up at the last minute.
If the board needs time to review it,
I was-
we don't have it.
I was just gonna say, I
We gotta
personally
figure out a
would,
way to do this.
could we, what I would recommend we do is, Mayor Pro Tem, if you could send it to the board members, we'll have a chance to review and digest it. If we need to have a special meeting next week for that item, I'm not opposed to doing that, but I would like a chance to read it.
You're gonna have one on the 15th, is that soon?
Maybe we could just add it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe we could
Okay,
combine it
all right, we'll do that.
Just a
before
question
or
for Mike.
after.
We were looking at $28,000, which I think would have been an easier number. My question is there, if you said he has to start now, I mean, is it $100,000 or nothing, or is it he can spend between now and the end of May $15,000?
Right, yeah, I don't know what the expenses would be between now and the end of May. It may just be his time to prepare the permits. I don't know. We didn't get into that detail.
But are we, and you're gonna send it to us, I know that. Are we, when we look at whether we combine them or not, putting that aside for a second, we're gonna have to spend money on permits anyway, right? Right, so this is not like we spend nothing, we spent this. It's, we're gonna spend
No.
money for the permits
This
no matter
is-
what. The question is, are we going to combine the permits or not? Is that what the decision is?
Well, we're,
Right.
the plan is definitely to combine them. If we don't, it's gonna cost us more to do
That's fine.
Dorian separate, because we'll have two different, possibly have different contractors and all that, but we're not at that point yet.
Okay.
But I
My
think
point
we
is, we're
should
gonna-
just
Either
wait.
way that we go with this,
Let's
thing,
just
we're
wait.
going to have to spend money on permitting.
We are, we are.
Right,
Let's
but
just
I-
wait until we've all had a chance to look at the proper
Okay.
document, and if we have to have a special meeting, we do.
And we can add it possibly to the 15th.
Yes,
Okay.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And then you wanted to also then talk about our options for the dune in front of BA4.
We were, was suggested that the county was ready to assist us or wanted us to take the lead. I guess that's the better way to put it. They wanted us to take the town to take the lead to restore the dune line at the county beach access where there's parking across from the Richard Peters Park. And a couple ideas were floated around. Alderman Leonard came up with the idea that we need to do a truck haul there, which was what the original plan called for in the FEMA project that somehow got deleted from the FEMA project. Or we had the idea that it might be possible to get by with a dune push. So Public Works Director Anders and I examined that location, I guess it was yesterday afternoon. It's just not appropriate to try to do a dune push there. There's not enough sand, there's not enough beach, and a dune push would lower the beach profile and the water would be up against the sand in no time. So we really need to do a truck haul. And it was estimated by Fran that the truck haul would cost somewhere around $60,000. That's for the sand, not for his services. So the question is now, do we want to proceed as a board to ask Fran to prepare a scope of work to do that work? That's the question.
Well, there's a little more to it than that. The issue is, how did it come to a truck haul? Was the mayor mentioned to me something about how the county had $30,000 or $32,000 that
32.
they were willing to provide us, provided that we could do something qualified for
Reimbursement.
expenditure of that money, reimbursement of that money. And they're coming up like everybody on the end of fiscal year in a couple of months. So my thought was, we go ahead and pay for the project with the understanding that we get reimbursed for half of it this fiscal year from the county, the 32K, and we go right in right away. And we ask for the other 30, the other 28 or 30 or whatever it's going to be. And in fact, try to get something from them in writing ahead of time
Mhm.
that would commit them to reimbursing us for that from their next fiscal year's budget, so that they've paid for this completely.
So my question is, if we have, I heard earlier in the meeting, we've got until the 21st of May with the truck haul. What are the odds? It's the 6th now that we can get it all turned around and Fran's permitted and we're good to go.
Well, the idea would be that this would occur at the end of the current truck haul, and it would be done entirely from the landward side. So there wouldn't be an issue with turtles other than right at the site. Would be any trucks running up and down the
I
beach.
understand. So you're going to do it from the parking lot side. And the, Ms. Hill, the only issue with when we tried to do something from the parking lot side before was that it was Anzo County's land, right? Was there a comma issue? Do we have to be worried from a comma perspective if we're going to truck sand in for that dune line from the parking lot side?
How are you gonna get there?
With
From the
permission
park-
from the county
County.
Okay.
to go through?
I'll check with Cal and make sure that there's no issues.
Are they gonna give us permission this time, or are they gonna get?
Well, I'm thinking that was the issue last time, was permission,
Yeah.
right? Was it permission last time? Yes.
Before we can, I don't want to go too far into this, because before we can go any further, we have to have approval from the state, and I'm waiting to hear back from the state. And then
Okay.
going back to the county, and making sure we have their green light before we put all this work. I hate for us to put all this work into it and then something fall off earlier on in the process. So there are a few hurdles we have to get through before.
Okay.
Action.
And when you say the state, is that CAMA?
No, it is the North Carolina Department of Emergency Services. It's like the state portion of the FEMA process.
Okay.
That's where the Onslow's FEMA project is in that state.
So,
25%.
so if we have an update on that, or could we possibly try to also, well, it's the 6th now. I don't want to wait until the 15th. If you hear back something before then that we'd be able to take action on.
Yeah, so
Okay.
hopefully it'll be any day.
All right. So based on when you hear, Caitlin, we can call a special meeting if we need to discuss and determine how to move
I
forward.
just want to make one comment, and that is, I understand that we should be watching our money and looking for reimbursement, but we sure don't want to have the park that we just spent all that money and get
Well, that's
wiped out.
my
because
issue.
But
they're
we
not
still
doing
need
something.
approval to be able to do it.
All I'm saying is,
Yeah.
if the holdup on this is some kind of discussion with Onslow County about getting reimbursed,
Mhm.
To be honest with you, that parking lot that they just put in is gonna be if you see the cars getting towed out of there constantly in the gravel, we gotta protect the park. And
Mhm.
so all I would say is, I would ask our public service people, if we can't get this thing done, and we're worried about that, is there any kind of temporary stuff we can put up? or
We
whatever,
need
because
their
we-
permission. We can't go on their
No, I'm
land.
talking about in front of the
But-
park.
Oh, got you.
But,
On our side.
yeah. But Works Director Andrews and I talked about that specific point, and we already have permission from DOT to put a temporary barrier in the right of way on the county side of the road. if need be.
Yeah.
Not wiping that out again.
That's good.
Okay, so basically, Caitlin, if you can let us know, and then we can make a board decision from there if we have got to get back together. Okay. All right, so then the next item is the attorney's report.
The bill Senator Lazara's office submitted regarding the staggering of the elections. That's been submitted,
Filed.
finalized and filed.
All right.
Other than that,
Just real quick, there was discussion about pushing the elections because of COVID and stuff. Is that still?
well, it's indexed to the census. And I don't know when it's going to be pushed, but I believe it will be pushed
So we don't think we'll have an election?
in November.
The whole state, not just us.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
Somebody just asked me, I got a
Yeah.
call from one of our thing and said, I understand there's a discussion about what that's gonna happen. Is that when the
Statewide.
dates and everything?
Statewide, it's, and it is census, it's not COVID.
Census?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
But I've not seen anything official that it's officially been postponed.
Okay.
But I spoke with two different North Carolina senators that believe it will be.
I had asked the Board of Elections too, and that was their understanding as well, that it was going to be pushed. Okay, from the mayor's report, I just have two things. They won't take too long. I just wanted to thank all of our amazing staff for everything that you've all done with the unfortunate departure of Mr. Gilbride. Everybody's really stepped up to try and keep the wheels on this bus, the staff as well as the board. So I just wanted to thank everybody for that. And the other thing I will mention is I went to it's called a community conversation meeting. It's held by the Jacksonville Board of Realtors. It's not really real estate related. They have several members from the community come and speak and give updates, and it's more about just trying to communicate and learn and help each other. They did talk, the zoning office was there from Anzo County, so they went through, I don't know how many other people got postcards, but they're doing some major rezoning changes in Anzo County because they haven't changed anything in so many years. So it sounded like it was more just to get into this day and age than anything. But if you have any questions on that, I'd suggest that you get on the Anzo County website and take a look. They also have what they call community advocates on their police department. They're not necessarily officers. They call themselves, they're officers, but they're the liaisons between the officers and the community. So they've got like a middle layer in there. That to me was interesting. I don't know how that, I'm still kind of figuring that out. And then I was there certainly to represent North Topsail Beach and give updates to that. So it was a very productive day. All right, so we're going to start with Alderman Grant and we'll come down this way for.
I think I already did the update on the meeting with the county. We had a call, Mr. Gilbride, Mayor, you were there, we're supposed to be with Mr. Carter, who is not available apparently, with the Corps of Engineers about financing and how it works, not in terms of, any discussion about the project or whatever. There was a lot of enlightenment in there. I'm hoping that we get the minutes from them.
I haven't
because
seen
Mr.
them yet.
Yeah, Mr. Carter needs to look at the different options that we have. The way that you pay for it, they have pay go, they have finance the whole thing. And I think that I would ask, when we get that he then come back to the board and present us with the different options for financing, because there's a lot of different ways to finance a project. And lastly, just to thank Dave Gilbride again, enjoyed working with him a lot, found it very professional. That's it.
Alderman Leonard.
Okay, a couple things on Cobra. I spoke to Ray Celeste today up in Congressman Murphy's office. He indicated that the Congressman plans to introduce our Cobra relief bill on the House side when they come back into session, which I believe will be sometime next week. We're still working on trying to get sponsorship for a companion bill on the Senate side. That will be something that we'll discuss in that June 15th Zoom meeting with the folks in Washington. I spoke to Stephanie Mistert about that today, and she said a letter from the local Realtors Association in support of the bill repeal would be helpful.
Okay.
I'd like to also remind everyone that the celebration of life for Alderman Richard Peters will be Sunday, 16th of May at 2 p.m. at Richard Peters Town Park. And finally, echoing what everyone else said, David Gilbride was an absolute pleasure to work with. He's a good friend, and I wish him the best and a speedy recovery. That's all.
Mayor, man,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to echo those sentiments about Mr. Gilbride. He's one of the finest managers I've ever worked with. When he was first appointed interim, we were in a real rocky place. The pandemic had just come. I think the stay-at-home order was issued the day after he was appointed. And he pulled us all together, and I think the town's in a much better spot today than it was before he started with us, and I wish him and his family well.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Benson.
I would certainly echo Attorney Eads and my fellow aldermen's admiration for the way that Mr. Gilbride came in and got things running the way they really should have been run. And the staff appreciates him. As I've talked individually to staff members, I've just heard glowing reports of how he managed the staff. Aldermen have been very pleased, of course, with his report, and he got an excellent evaluation. When you do evaluations of people, you usually look at it from three different levels, and the lowest level is needs improvement. The second level, the middle level, is meets requirements, and the third level is often exceeds expectations. And across the board, Manager Gilbride was in that top level of often exceeds expectations. So just echoing those thoughts, he was an excellent manager, and we wish him well in his journey ahead. For as far as reporting goes, if Alderman Myers will report on the CRC meeting, I will just mention that Alderman Grant and I sat in on a conference call with Becker Morgan, who is our architectural firm for the public safety building, along with both chiefs. And we can report that the Becker Morgan has done an excellent job of addressing the chief's concerns about the new public safety building and the arrangement of space, so forth and so on. So we're very happy with the progress that's being made. So we are on track to continue that process. So that concludes my report.
Alderman
Mayor-
Myers.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
As mayor, as Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Benson alluded, we had the CRC meeting, and the Topsail Reef was granted a 5-year extension on our sandbags. Our sandbag time limit was up actually last year, and luckily the meeting got pushed, and so it was just approved that we could keep it for 5 years. And I understand it was a unanimous decision
On all 4 criteria.
on all 4 criteria. So we were very pleased with that. We wouldn't be here. Topsail Reef wouldn't be there if we didn't have those sandbags. So that was a really big win.
And who was the council?
So who's the council?
Who presented excellent,
He did an excellent job. We're really
presenting the
happy.
variance. Excellent job,
Thank you.
really.
Yeah, it was.
Sincerely.
Thank
It
you.
was an
I
excellent job on that.
And who
Very.
provided the notes?
And
Ms. Hill should get a lot of credit too.
Yes.
Inlet hazard area update.
Well,
The inlet hazard area update.
You want to talk
No.
the inlet? I don't have I
Oh.
don't have the update on.
The other item that the CRC did discuss was approving the change in boundaries of the inlet hazard area, which would now include the Topsail Reef, as we know.
Yeah,
They
and,
postponed that decision until June.
yeah, and that would include St. Regis as well.
It will go down to St. Regis. too.
So it's being postponed till June, the
Postponed till
decision.
June.
Okay.
So, and I just wanted to say too, how much I enjoyed working with Dave. He was wonderful and he'll be missed.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and that concludes my report.
Okay, then what we need next is a motion to go into closed
So
session.
moved.
Do we have a second?
Personnel
Yes, sir.
pursuant to the closed session statute. I don't have it in front of me.
There's actually three if I can help you out.
Yeah.
The first one is and I won't read all the general statute numbers. The first one's for land acquisitions, the second one's to consult with the town attorney, and the third one is personnel.
That's NC General Statute 143-318.11, subsections
That's okay.
A5, A3, and A6.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in
Aye.
favor? Okay. Okay, so I need a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. And I want to just note that no action was taken in closed session. And then, so what we do need to do as a board is determine the path forward with a temporary town manager while we get through the process of interviewing interim and permanent town managers. So I would like to ask the board if there's a motion that,
I have a motion that we appoint the police chief, Mr. Younger, as the interim town manager.
we have a second.
Second.
Do we want, clerk, could you take roll?
Alderman Meyer,
Nay.
Mayor Pro Tem Vincent,
Yes.
Alderman Leonard,
Nay.
Alderman Grant.
Aye.
So that means
I break the tie, which it's, I haven't, yes. All right, so with that, do I have a
Make a
motion to
motion.
adjourn?
I think we're adjourned.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.